looked at probably 3 to 4 dozen homes.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around 40 homes. We put in offers on 9.
We put in offers on 7. This was our 7th offer.
Okay. Put on offers on 7, and just the housing, it's crazy here because there's only so many homes here within your budget.
Right.
And you already have to sacrifice like where you want to live, at least for most of us. There's no homes in your budget. Then you look at, okay, let's look at the neighborhoods next to the places that you want to live. And then it's like, okay, yes, but then it's like, do I really want to live in a 400 square foot apartment? Then you look at the neighborhoods outside, and then...
Yeah. So it was a very different experience for us because I felt like before we even went into it, our expectations had been dramatically lowered from our first home buying experience. Knowing that LA was way more expensive, knowing that we would get way less for our money, even though our budget was increasing dramatically from the last time we bought our home, we bought our first home. So we, I think, had mentally already made the adjustment to know that we were going to get a very different experience, well, a different home, just because of what we could afford in the market that we were looking. But it was still, there were so many things that were so crazy. We would see homes go on the market, and before we would even reach out to our agent to ask for a showing, she would say it was off market.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was that list prices seemed to be a suggestion in LA. We'd find things that were near the top of our budget, and we're like, we'd want to go see it, and they'd be like, just so you know, we already have an offer, $80,000 above list. And we're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, all of those things that I think in other markets you come to expect. So my parents bought a lot of houses when I grew up. We moved a lot because my dad was in the military, and kind of the experience that I was used to was the house was listed for a certain amount. Ideally, that's what the sellers wanted to get, but they knew they wouldn't get above that unless there was some weird scenario where there was a bidding war, but that was very unlikely in most of the markets that we lived in. And so it was you as a seller knew that you could probably get it for a little bit less than what they were asking. And so here in LA, it's the opposite, where they put a price, and that means they expect a significant amount above that. I can't tell you how many times our realtor came back to us and said hey, before we write an offer on this home, they're expecting X amount over it. They came back sometimes 80,000 that they expected above it. And I kept saying to Joel, why wouldn't you just list your house at that amount? Because then we would know, hey, that's outside of our budget, and we wouldn't waste our time and their time and everyone else's time. So
or positive counters, if you counter at X price, or if you give an offer, generally they counter for maybe a little between that and the list price. But we've came in above the list, and then they're like, actually, we want 50,000 more than that. You're like, what? That's not even.
Yeah.
I was expecting, maybe 5,000, but.
Right. It would be to give it in numbers, say a house costed $100,000, which you will not find a house anywhere close to that in LA, but pretend that's what a house costed in LA. So you would come in at $100,000, and then they would counter and say, actually, we're going to counter you at $125,000. So $25,000 above the list is what they come back at. And you're like, wait, that's not how negotiation works. Typically, in my experience, when you go to buy a house, and again, say it's listed at $100,000, you offer, say, $95,000, then they maybe come back at $97,000, and that's where you come to an agreement. So that was another thing that was so weird. And then also the condition of the homes.
Yeah, they're terrible.
People just didn't care. They didn't clean up their stuff. They didn't try to make it look nice. The walls in a lot of places needed fresh coats of paint that they just weren't going to do. They would make no concessions. They were we will make no fixes, no repairs.
I would say, it was a one call it a 1.5 because
It was a 1 bedroom with a loft, one
Yeah.
bathroom. I think 700 square feet, 800, something like that. Like it was roughly the size of our apartment, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit bigger.
a little bit bigger, galley kitchen, lots of windows,
Yeah,
but amazing location.
yeah, and like it would have 100% worked for us if we were like at that point in our life where.
Can you stop hitting me in the stomach?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Every time you say something, you are jabbing me in the stomach.
We were like at that point in our life where.
Can you- But yeah, I get it. If we were at a different point in our lives, and also the 8-minute commute to work would have been.
Right, like I feel like a bachelor lifestyle that would be great for, but then we looked at a lot of places that were terrible, just terrible places. The worst I remember was one where it was being rented out and the people did not clean up at all. They were like hoarders, stuff was everywhere. I was disgusted by the like cleanliness factor or lack thereof.
That's interesting that you think that's the worst.
What did you think was the worst?
The house you wanted to put an offer on, that
The first one?
no, this house that was built in like the
Oh.
1920s. It was generously listed at 1,100 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but one of the baths was literally just a toilet in between the laundry room and the living room / third bedroom. The other one was a straight baby blue
Yeah, baby blue, right?
tiled bathroom that had the most hideous shower tub, and this thing probably would have taken like a 3-year. You had to put a couple $100,000 in it to make it look anything nice. It had a gorgeous backyard, non-finished, unattached garage that was literally, you could see the studs. Like, this was a house that literally nothing was.
So, I guess like what you need to know about me is I love old homes. Like I think they are, like I want to fix them up and make them beautiful. And that house had the most gorgeous lot. It did.
Yeah.
It was on a gorgeous lot, and I saw so much potential. Unfortunately, it was at the top of our budget, and we wouldn't have had any money to fix anything. But I could see like ripping out walls, and I was obsessed with the attic, and like, yes, it was hideous, and it was dated, but it was built in like 1950. You can't expect much. The one that I thought was the worst was because somebody chose to live in filth. Like the house to me was, yes, it was dated and it needed renovation, but it was like empty, it was vacant. Whereas the other one, people lived in that level of hoarding and filth, and they were like, we're just gonna sell it like this.
Okay. First of all, calling that hoarding, like,
They were hoarders.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff, but it wasn't like you couldn't walk through rooms because of the levels of trash. Like, it wouldn't have made it on that reality
No,
show.
it probably wouldn't have been on hoarders, but it was still, I mean, they had hoarding issues.
I mean, they just had
They had like empty cardboard boxes. Like that is to me very clearly, like not cardboard boxes as in like moving boxes, as in like you bought X product and it was in a box, a small box, and you kept said box.
That's still, I also feel
Anyway, that was the worst for me.
Yeah.
I forgot about that house with the blue tile. I loved that house. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you are new here and go ahead and like this video. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.